The Konica Winternationals Drag Racing Championships have been building in size and importance year by year, with many tipping 1997 to be the race to indoor races. A record entry list of over 400 competitors from all around this nation and overseas is made up of riders and drivers fighting out the various Australian Championship categories. From junior dragster to top fuel, super street to pro stock, modified bike to nitro-burning Harleys, the best of the best have come to Willowbank Raceway at Ipswich in Queensland. Around 35,000 spectators, making the Winternationals one of the largest motorsport events in the country. Willowbank's legendary traction, perfect racing weather and outstanding spectator facilities are ready to be put to the test. Welcome to the 1997 Konica Winternationals Drag Racing Championships. I'm Rob Oberg and we're at Willowbank Raceway in Queensland. This is the 30th running of this great event. And Nathan Prendergast, it certainly looks like being the largest as well.
Well, with over 400 entries and 35 to 40,000 people packing in here this weekend, it certainly does look that way.
As usual, the Top Fuel dragsters are going to be the stars of the show. Tanya Campbell's down in the Top Fuel pits now.
Joining me is Jim Reid, the current Winternationals champion, and he has in fact won this event 15 times. Well, Jim, will the lack of track time this season diminish your chances of winning here this weekend?
No, on the contrary, I think it makes us more keener. It's probably one of the main reasons we're back here. This is the best event of the year. It overshadows everything else as far as I'm concerned, and more than anything, we want to, retain the title of being the Winternats champ.
This is the first time that we see the final round of all ANDRA Championship drag racing categories here at the Winternationals.
Some of those championships are already decided, races with unbeatable leads. Some of the categories, though, are going to go right down to the wire. Paul Kasos is down in the pits with one of the races concerned now.
Stan, you've got a great chase on your hands.
Yes, things aren't working out the way we planned this weekend. We've had a bad weekend so far, and we're number 8 qualifier. All I can say at this point, we're in the field and we've got a chance. The big problem we have, of course, is running the number 1 car, and he's run some very good numbers, and maybe he'll make a mistake and maybe we'll get our act together. But we'll just have to wait and see. It's going to be interesting. We're looking forward to it, and we're going to be trying.
Thanks, Paul. Nathan, the racing tonight's certainly going to be fantastic, but some of the early action was great as well.
It sure was, Rob. The Fox Sports qualifying night of Thunder was incredible. Let's take a look at some of the highlights now.
401 entries from all over Australia and overseas, trying to find a place in their various fields. Well, Jim Reid came out in the very first top qualifying session and lined up against his old rival, Graeme Cowin.
Yes, it certainly was going to be a battle from the start. Jim Reid just backing up now. In beside him, as Rob said, Graeme Cowin. Both these guys keen to put some early points on the board.
And of course, Nathan, this is the first time Jim Reid had run at Willowbank since last year's Winternationals.
What's he produce? A 492 off the trailer, 456 kilometres an hour. He was firing.
That was his best ever run in that car, his personal best, and it really did signal to the troops what we could expect all weekend. Rachelle Splatt, one of the tips for the first 300 should it happen at this weekend. In qualifying up against Roy Smith, got a big march on Roy.
512, 454 kilometres an hour, Splatt in the field.
That put Rachelle Splatt into second qualifying position at that point. Terry Sainty proudly flying the flag for the Australian-built Eagle Leeds car, while Glenn Micros was forced into the backup Santos Crane's dragster. Of course, their number 1 car broken in half at the last round of the championship at Eastern Creek.
And of course, Terry Sainty, coming from a recent win at the Nitro Championships, also at the same meeting at Eastern Creek Raceway, he also wanted to get a good run on the board early.
Well, Micros had some trouble coming to grips with the new car, was forced to backpedal it. A 519 put him in 3rd qualifying spot at that point in time.
Qualifying then moved into Saturday night. Fox Sports qualifying night of Thunder. Reid versus Cowin once again.
These guys were the first into the staging lanes for every single qualifying session. They were so keen to go at it.
Jim Reid, of course, already got a 492 on the board. That still stands as number 1 qualifier. What can Cowin produce? On On and off the throttle, but still runs a 4.99. He's in the field at number 2.
Terry Sainty came back out on Saturday night as well as part of the Fox Sport qualifying Night of Thunder. Again, lined up against Rachelle Splatt, desperate to get good qualifying passes down. This Willowbank Raceway quarter mile had been prepared to perfection. The big problem through qualifying was the teams coming to grip with just the amount of traction that was available.
Terry on a good run, Rachelle with some shake. She shuts it off, and the Sainty team come up with a strong 5.47.
As always, Top Fuel provides plenty of excitement in qualifying. Glenn Micros knew that at this point in time he was back in 4th place, a lot further back than he's been all year. Of course, Micros carried enough points into the Konica Winternationals to claim the Australian Top Fuel Championship for 1997. Robin Kirby in the Keatings Transport car. He was trying to sneak into that top half of the field.
On and off the throttle for Micros, a little bit loose, but a 5.16.
That left him in the number 4 qualifying spot.
Jim Reid, the final pass of Fox Sports qualifying Night of Thunder, came out to try to improve on his 4.92.
He ran that 4.92 seconds straight off the trailer on Friday night and then suffered tyre shake, a really violent phenomenon that affects these Top Fuel cars. Came out for one last shot at it. There it was again, and picked the wheels up when he had a second go at the throttle.
Let's take a look at it on the replay now. Watch the head of flames. Beautiful set of flames. The car goes into a little bit of shake here, gets off the throttle, fills the pipes up full of fuel, then bang, blows the headers off it. You can see the flames, the head coming back. Great run from Reid. However, he needs to come up with a tune-up to get the car down the track.
Qualifying left us with Reid, Cowin, Splatt, Micros, Kirby, Sainty and Smith to head into eliminations. One of the real highlights of Saturday night's Fox Sport qualifying Night of Thunder was the first provincial Top Comp Eliminator bracket. Racing. These cars were out there racing in elimination style, not qualifying. We pick up the action in the second round.
Morris Fabietti in the front engine dragster. Beautiful car. Nice strong burnout from him. Has really done some big things. Rob, this car famous for its wheel stands.
He really did have some trouble during qualifying, keeping the front wheels on the ground. Here in the second round, the first provincial Top Comp, he's got the advantage of a bye run. The Fabietti and Turner Nostalgia Dragster, near brand new car, but built in the style of a Top Fuel car from 30 years ago. Sounds like he's going to wind it all the way through. Comes up there with a 762, 287 kilometres an hour, and we can see the frame, enough flex to ground out through the braking area.
Graham Porter, the next car out in the second round of Top Comp. Top Comp, really an exciting bracket run between sedans and open vehicles like dragsters and Altereds.
Handicap racing does apply. These races nominate their own handicap time. In championship drag racing, we can then put that handicap into the Christmas tree starting lights, and then it's a matter of a flat-out race to the end.
Scott Leo on screen now has done some pretty big things with this car. I did see in the burnout, though, the front left-hand guard flare out. I'm not sure whether they're going to have problems. You can see the crew working on it now.
Well, I see the base stage lights on for Graham Porter, so Scott Leo, 30 seconds get in. Oh, he must have missed it by half a second, I'd suggest. Porter is out and away. Red light there for Scott Leo, so Porter's got the ability to just back it off and cruise it on through. Comes up with an easy 9-0 at 142 kilometres an hour. He's into the next round of Top Comp.
There's a pair that we've seen face up against each other before. John Payne and Al Burgess. What a burnout from Burjo. Goes to half track with a boot in it.
Big Chev El Camino utility, and he's up from Sydney to take on the best that's on offer at the Konica Winternationals. This first provincial Top Comp providing a real level of excitement in Fox Sports qualifying Night of Thunder. Al Burgess, big block Chevy up front of the El Camino. John Payne in the Corvette. likewise, one of these aluminium block, big block Chevys.
And John Payne knows everything there is to know about the big blocks as well. Very experienced racer, one of the first Wild Bunch competitors. He's already into stage. We wait on Burjo.
Keep an eye on that Christmas tree. The top white light means the front wheels are 6 inches short of the start line. Now they're both in. You see the handicap there. Burjo with the advantage of that start line handicap, but not for long. John Payne's driven round him.
Had the shootout early and it's pretty tight across the line, but Payne with a 7.52 for the win.
Qualifying all the way through, the Fox Sport qualifying Night of Thunder provided plenty of excitement. No more so than in top alcohol. In this category, 4 racers entered the last round of the Australian Championship with mathematical chances of taking out the title. One was defending champion Gary Phillips on screen now. Another was Steve Harker in the Harker Transport funny car. Qualifying was to be vital to these guys. Harker had a problem there, but Phillips, 5.73, 389, he set the early pace.
Mark Brew also in the championship hunt. He's also got a chance. However, in qualifying, he's up against Stan Tyndall earlier on. Stan Tyndall currently leads the championship by a very slender lead.
Tyndall carrying just 20 points advantage into this final round of the series in the Stanola Racing Dragster. He was struggling a little bit. Mark Brew with an all-new clutch setup in the BOC Gases Dragster, also not having a happy time in qualifying. Tyndall's 6.40 was only good enough for 8th.
Jeff Burnett in the altered, really having a good showing with this car. He's up against the newcomer Dean Oakey.
Well, Oakey having his first run in top alcohol, attempting to qualify. Only the fastest 8 cars got into the field. Jeff Burnett came into this race with the record of the world's quickest altered, and he improved on that time in qualifying. A 5.88 put him into the number 3 qualifying position.
David Glenwright, matched horsepower to that of Gary Phillips, has run into the 570s before, wants to take the number 1 qualifying position here this weekend.
Not in a position to win the championship because this team didn't contest all the rounds, but Glenwright driving it hard, equals the national record with a 5.70 and grabs the number 1 spot on the very last qualifying pass.
Well, it's semi-final time now of Top Comp Eliminator. Graham Porter with the solo pass.
Porter has earned the bye run in the semi-final, just 3 cars left. He's got the opportunity now to drive this big block Chevy powered dragster all the way through, test this nominated handicap time that we call a dial-in, and make up his mind just what he should set that time for in the final. This car starting to wheel stand a little bit off the start line as well. Looks like he's going to take it easy and just preserve the car for the final. A 7.92 at 179 kilometres an hour.
Well, one man that has to battle is Morris Fabietti. He loves his burnouts. Rather short, though. We have seen him go to half-track with the butterflies wide open, but he's up against John Payne. Boy, this is going to be a great matchup. Payne with some problems, though.
Not much of a burnout there. Didn't go far through the water at all. Started to open the throttle and then there's a glowing red light on the dash. Most of these races, that's an oil pressure warning in most cases.
Morris Fabietti, no dramas for him. He's backing up. Now look at that supercharger. It is not turning. That engine is switched off.
Payne may be out of this. Looks like Fabietti could get a bye run. Payne has turned the car off, but the crew haven't gone to push it back.
Fabietti with a thumbs up. I think he's had the signal from crew chief Steve Turner. Oh, hang on. John Payne's back in the picture.
Payne has refired, gone straight into stage. We've got a race yet in the semi-final of First Provincial Top Comp Eliminator. Fabietti taking his time into stage. The handicap comes down. The dragster leaves first. Payne's coming back at him. I don't know, the dragster out in front. Here comes Payne.
It's got to be close. John Payne gets there. I couldn't pick it. 7.49 at near 300 kilometres an hour. We've got to look at that on the replay. Well, thank goodness for electronic timers, because that's a tough one to pick.
Nowhere was qualifying going to be tighter than in Pro Stock Eliminator. Coming into this final round of the Dynamax Australian Pro Stock Championship, Joe Polito in the Ford Pro from Sydney had already wrapped up the championship, but he wanted to cement it with a win at the Winternationals. Very first qualifying pass in Pro Stock, up against Rob Quattrocchi. Polito showed the way with his first 7-7 of the season.
Yes, the first 7-7 since the Winternationals last year, and as you can imagine, the crew very pleased with that one.
The big local Queensland hope in Hi-Tech Oil's Pro Stock Eliminator was Rob Tucker in the Performance Wholesale Oldsmobile. His lead-up form had been very, very strong. Kim Petterwood, another local Queenslander, had a brand new engine fitted to the Lifestyle Pontiac for this meeting. The two met in qualifying, looking to fight their way into that 8-car field. 12-odd entries trying to fight their way in made qualifying so vital in Pro Stock Eliminator. And Rob Tucker showed the horsepower potential of this Performance Wholesale Oldsmobile.
Nice strong pass from Tucker, put the car into the number 2 position with a 787.
Well, come Saturday night's final session in Fox Sport qualifying Night of Thunder, and the South Australian Rob Quattrocchi was lined up against Sydney's Joe Polito again. Polito, just to rub salt in the wound, decided he wanted to keep in that 7-7 second zone. The Ford probe has really been on a march all season, kept up its performance here, quickest ever in the country, 7.75 seconds.
Top door slammer qualifying was equally exciting, with Peter Gratz in the Valvoline 57 Chevy really setting an early pace.
Yes, Superformance top door slammer, an 8-car field once more as all ANDRA Championship Group 1 categories. Gratz was up against Les Winter on the comeback trail with a 55 Chevy, but there was no stopping Peter Gratz. 6.55 despite suffering some rear end damage to the differential.
Well, not everyone had a nice run in top door slammer. Lucky Valeri not having the best run of the weekend.
He was up against Victor Bray in the Castrol 57 and a big oil fire for Valeri.
Bray a 6.62 put him in the number 2 spot. Final time in Top Comp Eliminator, and it sees Graham Porter in the dragster up against John Payne. Rob, this is what Top Comp's all about, dragster versus sedan.
Certainly is. Willowbank has adopted the Top Comp under the Dial Your Own Handicap format. As we've said earlier, these races got to nominate their own handicap time. First Provincial Building Society jumped in with sponsorship to make it all happen during Fox Sports qualifying Night of Thunder, and it really has brought this big crowd to its feet.
John Payne up against Porter. As I said, Porter with a big block, Payne with a big block. It'll be a great race. Porter really is starting to launch this car hard with some wheel stands. Payne had some problems in the semi-final. Doesn't look to be hurting him at all in this final. Here we go. Payne's out. Porter with the chase. The wheels in the air. It's going to be close.
Porter had to back off a little. Here comes Payne across with a pretty easy win. 7.41, 298.
Well, John Payne, congratulations, winner of the first provincial Top Comp Eliminator. Now, you had a very interesting run in the semi-finals there against Fabietti. Are you going to tell us what that was all about?
Oh, it was nothing actually too bad. Actually, it was just no oil pressure, and this thing runs pretty good without it for a while, so we just waited till he came back and gave it a burst, and we've just changed the oil pump and got oil pressure back again for the final. It was pretty skatey in that run, but I didn't see the other guy, so we must have won.
Well, win you certainly did, and congratulations once again.
Thanks again to First Provincial.
Konica are giving viewers the chance to become a Winternationals winner with the Konica competition line. You could win a fantastic Team Konica jacket, t-shirt and cap, along with a Konica camera and a Konica fax machine, just by calling the number on your screen now. The total prize package is valued at well over $1,000, and the lucky winner will be announced on the next episode of Drag Racing 97. The Surf Life Saving Association Westpac Rescue Helicopter flies over the scene as we hit Sunday, race day at the 1997 Konica Winternationals. The early rounds of racing are over, getting prepared now to move into the main part of the program. Former Deputy Premier of Queensland, Bill Gunn, he opened this track 12 years ago, back to be the first ever Grand Marshal of the Winternationals at its 30th running. This event, the second longest standing event on the Australian drag racing calendar. Started at Surfers Paradise International Raceway and then 10 years ago found its home here at Willowbank Raceway, just outside of Ipswich in Queensland. The lights were on, the track was hot, everything was sticky and ready to go. The balloon literally goes up on the 97 Konica Winternationals, and we're about to get underway with the first round of Hi-Tech Oil's Top Fuel Eliminator.
Time for the big guns. Top Fuel qualifying's over. Nothing's at stake there. This time it's do or die. Roy Smith up against Graeme Cowin in this battle. Should be a great matchup, Rob.
Certainly is. Roy Smith, the first resident Queensland Top Fuel dragster in about 20 years, up against Graeme Cowin, the forefather, the first man in Australia to run a 4-second pass. Here he is at the Winternationals. The championship's gone to Glenwright, but you know that Cowin is keen to try and end the season on a high note. Roy Smith, on the other hand, the Atherwood and Smith car, these guys are the real dark horses of Hi-Tech Oil's Top Fuel.
Yes, running the Sainty all-billet aluminium engine. Graeme Cowin, he's got full United States equipment, and boy does it show. A 499 backing off the throttle during qualifying. He's really going to be one to watch. If you can get that car to glue to the track, it should run into the 70s.
Well, the air here is absolutely perfect. The conditions are good. The track is sticky. And look at this. Cowin's already on a march.
512, 308 kilometres an hour. He's off the throttle early. Let's have a look at it on the Konica replay. From the chopper, Cowin led from start to finish. He backs off the throttle early. You can see the flames go out now. Smith with the charge, but not enough. Cowin home safe and into the semi-final.
Top qualifier Jim Reed gets to have the bye run in the first round of eliminations. 7 cars contesting Hi-Tech Oil's Top Fuel Eliminator here. Reed, the defending Winternationals champion, he hasn't raced at Willowbank since last year's Konica Winternationals. Will a lack of track time cost him? We don't know yet.
Well, Jim doesn't believe so. You heard him say a little bit earlier on, it makes the team a lot keener, and that must be the case with a 492 off the trailer. However, they have struck some serious tyre shake problems since. How will he go? There's that shake again.
The problem, Nathan, this track has been prepared to perfection. It's got more traction than ever seen in Australia previously. The air conditions are perfect, as I was saying. There's so much oxygen in that air. These cars just want to make power. I guess it comes down to getting that clutch right.
That certainly is the case. Does Rachelle Splatt have it? We'll find out shortly as she faces up against Terry Sainty. Sainty, the winner of the last round of the Australian Top Fuel Championship at Eastern Creek. Rachelle Splatt, the first woman in the world to run 300 mile an hour. We've heard that before. We haven't seen 300 in Australia. It could happen this weekend.
Could happen on this run. Rachelle's got the capability to do it, but she has been struggling a little bit this weekend. Terry Sainty in the Australian-built Eagle Leeds car. Top Fuel winner last round. Can he do it again? Don't think so. Rachelle's got the wood on him.
Terry with a pedal. Rachelle will get there. 510. That's the quickest she's run all weekend. 411 kilometres an hour. On the replay now, watch Terry's car. Has to backpedal it on and off the throttle. The car, I think, smoking the tyres, but watch the flames on Rachelle's car. Starts to lean out. They die, and I think it's burned itself up.
Looks like it might have been burning a piston or something there across the finish line, but she's into the semi-finals. That's what counts. Now, Glenwright in Santo Rapasada's Santos Cranes #2 car.
Up against Robin Kirby in the Keatings Transport Dragster. Kirby really hasn't had a great season this year. Has been the runner-up in the Australian Top Fuel Championship before, but I don't think he's made it past the first round in the 97 Championship.
Been very, very consistent all year in the Keatings Transport car, but I think it just speaks about the increase in pace in Top Fuel. Glenwright, of course, has secured the championship for Santo Rapasada, Santo's first title as a team owner. He retired as a driver as reigning Australian Top Fuel champion back in the 80s, and now he's got the trophy on his mantle again. The team didn't have to come this weekend after the big accident at Eastern Creek, but they're out to make it a good season. A 4.99, the team's first four with a backup car. It's been a great season for Rapisada.
Let's take a look at it on the replay now. You can see a nice set of strong flames from Micras. Kirby with some problems. The right-hand side starting to die a bit. There's the flashies. Burn it up. Micras home.
While most attention in drag racing focuses on the cars, the two-wheel versions are very well catered for as well. ANDRA Championship drag racing includes 4 categories for motorcycles, including, of course, Top Fuel. The Top Fuel bikes, the two-wheel version of the Top Fuel dragsters, are ridden by who I believe the bravest men in drag racing. These bikes are capable of 6 seconds, 200 mile an hour at times, and provide the most spectacular form of motorcycle racing I've ever seen. As well as the top bikes, we've got Pro Stock Motorcycle, closely resembling the factory product. They're the two-wheel version of the Pro Stock cars. They're championship in all of these categories, coming right down to the wire at the Konica Winternationals. Perth-based Jack Daniels Harley rider Bruce Barnett comes into the final event leading main challenger Brisbane's Jeff Smith by a slender 40 points. Third-placed Brett Stevens had his championship's hope disappear when mechanical problems saw him fail to qualify into this tough field. In Pro Stock Motorcycle, the battle royal is between championship leader Gavin Eales on the Serco Suzuki from Brisbane and Adelaide's Les Donnan on Trevor Birrell's Castrol machine. Around 35,000 fans packing into Willowbank Raceway for the Konica Winternationals. First round of Jack Daniels Top Bike Eliminator now. The championship will be going down to the wire. Paul Bedard and the Jack Daniels Harley up against the comeback kid Gavin Spann on the Wiseco Suzuki.
This is a great matchup. Japanese make versus the Harley Davidson. We've got nitromethane up against nitrous oxide. Spann with the ex-Pro Stock motorcycle has built a brand new chassis, put the engine in it, put it on the gas and has gone top bike racing.
We haven't seen Gavin Spann since the grand finals last year. This is his first meeting for the season and it's the final meeting and he's looking good already. Rides it through, backs it off a little, 809, 210 kilometres an hour. Bedard with a problem. Let's see whether his teammate does any better.
The man in the chase for the championship, Bruce Barnett on the Harley Davidson. What a burnout. This is why the fans love Top Bike. From one wheel, boy, they produce some smoke.
The Harley Davidson's very, very popular in Top Bike Eliminator, brought to us by Jack Daniels. And Bruce Barnett up against Ian Ashleford. Barnett 40 points ahead in the championship. He has got Jeff Smith breathing down his neck. Looks like he's got Ashleford covered. He leans off the bike to keep it straight.
7:57. He's there with the win though. Look at that, 278 kilometres an hour. This is the man that's trying to chase him down for the championship though. Jeff Smith up against Craig McPhee.
Craig McPhee having his first ever event in Top Bike Eliminator. This Puma Westlake Yamaha. A fuel-injected, supercharged, nitromethane breathing 4-cylinder. This bike has plenty of potential. Craig's been running it up in North Queensland. Come down for the Konica Winternationals to mix it up with the big boys. And he's up against the championship contender, Jeff Smith.
Jeff Smith obviously on the Harley Davidson. Top looking bike. McPhee on the XJ Upton bike. This bike did hold the national mile an hour record in Top Fuel motorcycle at one stage, so it definitely has the potential.
McPhee's been getting quicker and quicker all weekend on the North Spray Yamaha. Smith will know he's in a race here, I think. Smith gone straight into full stage. McPhee's taking his time. The lights are on now. Down they come. McPhee a little bit out of shape. He's in front at 330 feet. Looks like a fantastic race. Smith just in the dying moments. 7:46, he gets there.
One of the real wild bikes in Top Fuel motorcycle. Peter Allen on the Pennzoil Party Time machine.
Well, this illustrates the variation in Top Bike Eliminator. We've got another fuel-injected, supercharged nitromethane bike for Peter Allen. He's up against Dave Borum on a turbocharged Suzuki. So we've got nitrous oxide, injected nitromethane, superchargers. It all goes in Top Bike Eliminator.
If Pommy Pete gets this thing to work, it should be the quickest bike in the world. Look at the header flames leap from the back of the bike. Borum's out of this one. Watch Pommy Pete on and off the throttle, but he gets there with a 7:46.
Top Fuel on 2 wheels.
Queensland's Jim Reid has been part of the last 30 Winternationals here in Queensland, originally as a driver but now as a team owner. His son Stephen drives the family funny car and grandson Daniel attends to the pit crew duties. I guess, Jim, you must have seen a lot of changes in the last 30 years.
Yes, we certainly have. Back in 1968, I think we were running low 11 second ETs, and now, well, we're running 5s, and all the other cars in the similar bracket are running 5 second times, and been a real lot of changes, yes. And it's amazing to see 400 competitors at this year's race.
Travel Air Tours top alcohol now. Stan Tyndall, the championship leader. He's qualified number 8 up against Dave Glenwright in the Romac dragster. And Nathan, Stan really is up against it here.
Well, he certainly is. He's got the horsepower. We know that. I spoke to Stan before this round and he said, Nathan, if it hooks up, it'll go hard. We already know that Glenwright's car is going to go hard, a 5.70 to equal the national record in qualifying. He's already put the points on the board, but we haven't seen anything from Tyndall. It's going to be a mystery bag.
Well, we know Stan Tyndall's got the potential with this car. He ran in the 5.7 zone at the last round of the Australian Championship down at Eastern Creek in Sydney. He's got a brand new car sitting at home in the garage, wanted to finish the season with the current Stanola Racing dragster, but he's up against David Glenwright. Team owner Bob Brackham of Romac has flown in, the car constructor Bob Meyer. They're throwing everything they've got at this race. It really is a 2-Bob team this weekend. Oh, look at Tyndall. He has stood that thing on its end. Glenwright screeching away to a 5.85, but the story of this race has to be Stan Tyndall.
Oh, look at this from the top end of the track now. Tyndall reaches for the sky, takes off like a 747, and it's come down hard. I'm afraid he's done some damage to the front of that vehicle. Let's have a look at it now close to the start line. Gets near the 45-degree angle mark, but I'm afraid, Rob, I think that's Tyndall's championship.
Well, he may have bent his chances along with the dragster chassis, because Gary Phillips, he is the defending champion, only 20 points behind Stan Tyndall. If he wins this round of racing, he will go into the lead. Mark Brew is the man that has to try and stop him. Mark in the VOC Gases dragster of the Posibon and Brew Proforce team. Small block Chevy, currently in 3rd spot in the Australian Championship. If he can put Phillips away, he's in a position to march on and maybe pick up 2nd, or in actual fact, with Tyndall out of the racing, if he can beat Phillips, he can go all the way in the Australian Championship.
Well, Phillips didn't have a great start to the season. Tyndall won everything there was to win. However, in the second half of the season, Tyndall's lost it all and Phillips has had a great run. Let's see how we go. This is for the Australian Championship.
Red light by Brew, it's all over for him. Phillips in the Aussie Bananas car looks pretty quick. 5.73, 388 kilometres an hour. He's not far over his own national record.
Stephen Reid and Steve Harker, this is a great matchup, side-by-side burnouts as they head past the tree. The funny cars do battle in Travel Air Tours top alcohol.
Steve Reid in the Jim and Stephen Reid family funny car. We heard from Jim earlier, contested the first ever Winternationals 30 years ago. Steve Harker, on the other hand, in the Harker Transport Spectra Thermo King funny car, has showed the performance of this car. It has run over 250 miles an hour, so it really has got the horsepower. Comes down to now who's got on top of these absolutely stunning Konica Winternationals conditions.
Both cars into stage, you can hear the revs up. Top alcohol, bring them up around the 5,000 RPM mark. Up the clutch, here we go. Harker has to pedal it. I think he's lost his chance. Stephen Reid, a nice straight run. We'll get there, 6.05, 379 kilometres per hour.
Top alcohol really pouring on the action for Travel Air Tours. Jeff Burnett, the world's fastest altered running on methyl alcohol fuel. That's where the name Top Alcohol comes from. These cars running on methanol or methyl alcohol. That's the fuel they burn, no nitromethane, but these engines still producing up to 3,000 horsepower. Jeff Burnett will come up against Paul Shackleton. Paul, a relative newcomer to Top Alcohol, down from Mackay, but a beautiful Farrell-built dragster, ran 6.00 in qualifying. He's got the potential to cause an upset.
Well, a 588 from Burnett's going to be tough to beat. Let's see how they go. Burnett, the quickest alcohol altered in the world. He's got the legs on Shackleton. Shackleton with some problems on the start line. Burnett will get there 6:22, 358 kilometres an hour. This is where Shackleton lost it on the start line.
Well, Stow, unfortunately, you've ended your chances in the championship with one of the wildest rides of the evening so far. Hopefully the wildest we'll see. Can you tell us what happened?
Well, really, when we left the line, the car felt really strong, and it did lift the front wheels, which has been doing a lot of times lately. We know since we've put the extra power in the car, we've had a lot of trouble keeping the front end down. But it lifted the front wheels, and I just thought, well, I can drive through this, and then the next thing, the front just come up, and where I figured it was about 45 degrees when we put in the throttle, I thought it was best to get out of this deal and put it back down, and I knew as soon as I took my foot off the throttle, I was going to bang the front pretty hard, and that's what it did.
The evergreen Stan Tyndall. He's won a World Drag Boat Championship. Now it looks like he'll have to wait to maybe next year for an Australian Top Alcohol Championship.
The action continues here at Willowbank Raceway with Superformance Top Door Slammer. Round one, Troy Critchley in the custom line up against Benny Gatt. The Fords battle it out.
Yes, Troy Critchley, the number 2 Castrol team car. He's been doing good things all season. Of course, the Door Slammer Championship already wrapped up for Castrol's number 1 star, Victor Bray. But Critchley won the Winternationals last year. He's the defending champion. He'd love to pick it up again in '97. Ben Gatt, always very, very popular wherever he goes around Australia.
Well, this is going to be a great matchup. This is the world's quickest Ford up against the world's quickest all Ford. What I mean by that is that Ben Gatt has a Ford engine motivating his car, whereas Troy Critchley's got a Hemi. Here we go, Critchley against Gatt. Wow, Critchley producing the early lead. Gatt's got some problems. He's really loose. Big power slide. Critchley will pick up the win, but Ben Gatt, what a drive job.
How did he keep that off the wall? Must have lost an engine. Oh, the crew. I tell you what, their heart would be in their mouth. Mine was. Fantastic to see the safety crew right on the spot. Have a look at this on replay.
242 kilometres an hour to half track, and then all hell breaks loose for Benny Gatt. Looks as though he's oiled the rear right-hand tyre. The car's gone into a big slide, and that is an incredible drive job to keep it off the wall.
Well, Ben Gatt will remember this drive for quite some time. We can see the smoke, and yes, must have been oil under the tyres. Missed the 1,000-foot reflector by just inches, but more importantly, he kept it off the wall.
Next pairing in Top Door Slammer sees Michael King in the world's fastest hearse up against Les Winter. Great matchup this one. Les Winter hasn't really competed at Willowbank for some time. What a comeback on his birthday, I believe.
Yes, Les celebrating his birthday this weekend with a Winter Smash Repairs 55 Chevy. First time out with a Chrysler Hemi under the bonnet. Always stuck with the Chevys until now. Michael King in the Auto One Parts and Accessories and Craig R Performance car. He's having a good weekend so far. Qualified number 3. Separated the Castrol twins, Bray in 2 and Critchley in 4. And he was very pleased to jump up into that spot. Now he's got Les Winter in the first round. He's got to go on with the job.
Michael King makes the early ground. Look at him, about a car length at half track. We can see the fuel. He's got a problem. Winter will get there. 7:07, 310 kilometres an hour, pushing a lot of air.
Michael King now, I saw a blower belt come off that car. The supercharger drive belt has exited it, and he's lost a race that I guess he thought he should have won. Number 1 qualifier now, Peter Gratz in the Valvoline 57 Chevrolet up against South Australia's Angle Athanasov.
Yes, Athanasov in the Commodore, beautifully turned out car, running under AA AP production. He's got a real problem. He's got a lot more weight on board than that of Gratz. It's going to be a big ask to beat the number 1 qualifier.
Well, Gratz is one of these guys that just seems to step up at the big events. He's struggled a little bit through the championship rounds, but this year, oh, look at this. It looks quick. 660, 335 kilometres an hour. Gratz is going to be a force in Superformance Top Door Slammer.
Here comes the Australian champion, Victor Bray. Big, strong burnout from him. He's in against Searle trying to upstage him.
And I think he does. Andrew Searle in the Ford-powered Ford Capri burns out past the master. Now, Victor Bray, have a look at this 57 Chevy. It's back in black. he painted this car back into its original flat black paint scheme in honour of the 30th running of the Konica Winternationals, and he said, "This is for the fans that supported me since the early days with my first Chevy."
Andrew Searle is really going to have to pull something out of the hat to beat Victor Bray. Searle has run 200 mile an hour, but Victor's run 25 faster than that. Bray all the way down. This is a strong pass from him. He'll get there 6:54.
Well, Ben, you've just proven that drag races don't always travel in a straight line. Can you tell us what happened on that run?
Well, I think we might have just leaned on the motor a bit too hard, and it looks like it's broke a rod and it's oiled the tyre down, and I think it must have oiled both of them down because it went up on two wheels, come back down, and it's the first time in my drag racing career over 30 years I've ever had to turn the wheel lock to lock in a straight drag race in my life, so it scared me a bit, but everything's all right.
Thousands of race fans are pouring into Willowbank Raceway for the running of the 1997 Konica Winternationals. Whereabouts are you from?
Northern Territory, Tennant Creek. Well worth a visit. We come every year. Been regulars for about 10 years now.
Come up from Victoria to support Rachelle Splatt.
Hi, we're from Byron Bay, New South Wales, and we're just up here for the drags for the first time, and we hope to enjoy our day. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Gary from Inverell. Come down to the Nationals every year to watch the drags. Want a good time? Come down too.
Hi, I'm Jim from Adelaide. I come up here every year. It's a beautiful spot, the weather's nice, and the drag race is the best you can find anywhere in the world. And I keep coming back each year and really enjoy the place and the racing. It's a top spot.
The Konica Winternationals is regarded as the fastest event on the racing calendar. At last year's event alone, 14 new national records and 28 strip records were set. And what makes Willowbank so fast? Well, it's a combination of superb traction and the northern winter weather. As you can see, it's really sticky down here. And to ensure this sort of traction, Willowbank Raceway has a team of specialists that work before, during and after meeting and take greater care of this surface than any lawn bowls green. At all times through the race meeting, you'll see them filling the porous bitumen with tyre rubber, laying down a very sticky traction compound, and the slightest spillage gets cleaned up quickly and completely. Well, the results speak for themselves, and the team here at Willowbank is highly regarded throughout the country. While the Queensland winter sun puts enough heat into this track surface to ensure great traction, it's the crisp, cold night air that is heavily laden in rich oxygen, which is perfect for race engines. Now, the more oxygen you can put into your engine, the more fuel it will burn and the more power it will produce. Here at the Konica Winternationals, the atmospheric conditions border on the extreme, and it is the racer who can best match his tune-up to the oxygen-laden air that is in for the ride of his life.
There's been plenty of BOC gases, helium balloon gas used this weekend with, I think, a couple of thousand of the balloon launch, and you see balloons everywhere with the kids. Well, Nathan, the cars that are most likely to revel in these Winternationals conditions are the Pro Stockers.
That certainly is the case. Kim Petterwood on screen. He should be up against Rob Tucker. I can't see Tucker though, Rob.
No sign of Tucker. I saw him in the staging lanes earlier, but so far only one car out onto the start line. Petterwood in the Lifestyle Speedflow Products Pontiac. And, well, Tucker was number 2 qualifier. I really thought that he had a shake of this. No sign of him. Petterwood will go on his own. New engine in this car. Really starting to stretch its legs out now. And I guess a bit of a freebie for Petterwood. 796, 267.9. He's stepping up all the time.
Tony Wedlock on screen now really is starting to make some big horsepower with this car. Huge burnouts from a Pro Stocker. I tell you what, Rob, the fans really getting their money's worth at the 30th Konica Winternationals.
John O'Carney in the John William Auto Sales Pontiac. He's currently in 3rd position in the Dynamax Australian Pro Stock Championship. He was really hoping for a big year this year, as was Tony Wedlock. Wedlock's season turned sour early when he bought some American components and found out that they just weren't quite up to what was promised. He's gone back to his tried and true Australian combination now, and looks like he's starting to get on top of the game. O'Carney needs a good result here to try and secure second in that Dynamax Australian Pro Stock Championship. Wedlock's got the wood on him off the start line.
Yes, O'Carney with a big chase up the top end, but he's not going to catch Wedlock. 787, 270 kilometres an hour. A great showing from Wedlock. Bruce Leake on screen now, the Queen Bee in connection in the Oldsmobile Cutlass up against the South Australian Rob Quattrocchi.
Quattrocchi running for Valvoline and Mobiles and more. And he is currently second in that Dynamax Australian Pro Stock Championship. Needs a win here to try and secure that. Well, O'Carney's fallen by the wayside. All he's got to worry about now is Wedlock. And of course, the guy in beside him, Bruce Leake, former Australian champion. Leake's really putting it to him. Leake's in front.
This is a great race, Pro Stock, side by side all the way. Who got there first? It's Quattrocchi. 788, 278 kilometres an hour. Let's look at this on the replay. Rob, I tell you what, there's very little in that one.
About the tread on the tyre in that round of High-Tech Oil's Pro Stock Eliminator. Here is the Australian champion, the man that's won the Dynamax Series, Joe Polito, in the computer engine design Ford. He's just had the wood on everybody all year. I think he's won all but one round so far. Up against Nigel DeVeth from Townsville, having his first ever run in Pro Stock Eliminator with his Chev Lumina.
Back-to-back championships for Polito. Wants to take out the Winternationals title. Ran the first 7-7 at the Winners last year and has already put the car into the 770s. Look at that, 774, the quickest ever in the country.
Well, he ran a 775 in qualifying. Now he's gone 774. We may see 760s yet.
Pro Stock motorcycle on screen now. Les Donnan, the #1 qualifier on the Castrol machine. Pro Stock bike, the cousins of Pro Stock car. Beautifully turned out machines. Donnan due to race up against Morris Allen. Allen into stage, but we haven't seen much of a burnout from him. He's not going anywhere. Donnan will take this one comfortably.
Well, Donnan currently 40 points behind in the Australian Championship. He needs every round when he can. Morris Allen with some sort of problem on the custom coating Suzuki and gets, well, an attractive pushback anyway.
Jason Lee on the 96 GSR Suzuki, GSXR Suzuki I should say, beautifully presented bikes. They've got a pod-style rear end on the vehicles, and you can see Jason Lee's bike painted like an alien, similar to the pods that you see in the Alien movie. He's up against Dennis Ackland.
Ackland on the ICI Auto Colour Suzuki has a lot of input from the Superbike area, but red light, he has left too soon by a couple of thousandths of a second. Jason Lee on Dale Gilbert Suzuki will get the win with an 819.
Here's the championship leader, Gavin Eales. He wants a good showing here this weekend. He really has to put on a good performance. He's in beside Paul Andrews on the similar Suzuki.
Eales under a lot of pressure from Les Donnan. He knows what he's got to do.
Oh, well, hopefully we'll go out in the first round and set low ET, because low ET is worth 10 points and mile an hour is worth 10 points, and hopefully win the meeting, and that way we can still hold the lead by 40 points.
Well, he's looking for a good performance. As I said, Paul Andrews is going to do everything in his power to make sure that it doesn't happen so easy for Eales. The bike's heading to stage. Similar to what we see in Pro Stock, they bring the revs up. We heard Eales have a bit of a test there. Andrews really making him wait the full 20 seconds. They're into stage. Andrews with some problems. Eales is going to take this one.
One more step towards the championship, possibly. And a good 766 from Gavin Eales. And look at that, Tony Eales is delighted. The Serco Pro Bike category really throwing on the glam. Here comes Igor Krasnowski from Victoria on, I think, one of the only Kawasaki's running in the field.
Yes, the Kawasaki's have a capacity advantage. Igor Krasnowski with 1500 cc's, Angelo Ganitas on the Suzuki, another one of the late model Suzukis. Beautifully turned out bikes, Pro Stock motorcycle, really putting on a great show.
Pro Bike, the two-wheel version of the Pro Stock cars, relatively new category in ANDRA Championship racing, but putting on one of their best performances ever here at the Konica Winternationals. Serco Pro Bike Eliminator, Ganitas comes out and Krasnowski right with him. Problem for Krasnowski, half-track, Ganitas will run through all the way.
Since the first Winternationals 30 years ago, the face of drag racing has changed dramatically, and nowhere more so than in Top Fuel Dragster. Back then, these cars blistered the quarter mile in 7 seconds. Today, it's just 4. And 30 years ago, the engines were situated in front of the driver, restricting his visibility and forcing him to wear a respirator mask to contend with the nitro fumes coming off the engines. The biggest problem, however, was safety. The driver situated directly behind the engine was in a direct line of fire if any mishap happened down the quarter mile. Well, many years of research and development and a few too many serious accidents, and the engines were finally moved to the rear of the dragster, greatly improving safety. The cars grew longer as they had to handle increasing horsepower and were fitted with larger and larger wings to keep them firmly grounded at speeds approaching 500 kilometres an hour. What we've ended up with today is the Top Fuel Dragster, 9 metres long, 5,000 horsepower, and the fastest accelerating vehicle on the planet.
30 years on and into the semi-final of Hi-Tech Oil's Top Fuel Eliminator, and these Top Fuel cars certainly have come a long way from those 7-second times of the first Winternationals.
There is no doubt about that. This battle is going to be incredible. Jim Reid up against Glenwright. They've battled side by side from the days of the Triple Challenge, and I think Jim Reid has only won one of them. That was at the Grand Finals when Glenwright crossed the sideline with a 4.9 second pass.
Well, we know that Jim Reid wants to win the Winternationals. He hasn't raced much this year. He considers this the jewel in the crown of Australian drag racing. He is the defending champion, and if he can beat Glenwright on the way to do it, it'll be all the more sweet.
The thing to remember here is that Glenwright is running the number 2 car in the Santos Cranes team. He destroyed the number 1 car at Eastern Creek at the Nitro Championships. 498, put the car in the braking area upside down. Here we go, Reid first as Micros with the pedal. It's got to be tight. Jim Reid, 505, 434 kilometres an hour. Denise Reid, absolutely ecstatic.
Ecstatic may be an understatement. Bruce Reid, the crew chief, he says we've beaten him across the line at last and we're going to the finals at the Winternationals. Here on replay, the flame dips. Micros had to backpedal a moment. He's coming on strong onto Reid. Reid hangs on by 14 thousandths.
My God, that sucker didn't shake. Oh, dear.
You've really had some problems this weekend, but you seem to obviously have them well and truly sorted.
Well, you know, I can only thank the guys for all the hard work they've put in, but you know, Glenn himself, I must say a big thanks to Glenn Marcus, because Glenn had given us a few tips as well, and he was trying to help us along with this car a little bit with some previous clutch problems we had. So maybe somewhere down the road he was a little bit responsible for us getting there as well. So once again, thanks to Glenn.
Well, we've got one finalist, but there needs to be 2. Rachelle Splatt, she's in there up against Graeme Cowin. Who will it be? We'll find out in around about 5 seconds' time when they leave the start line.
This is number 2 qualifier, Graeme Cowin in the Shell Rocket Industries dragster, up against Rachelle Splatt, the number 3 qualifier for Valvoline Cummins and Dragway wheels. The Queen of Speed up against one of the veterans and nice guys of Australian drag racing. And I guess the winner here is the sport itself.
And the 35,000 odd spectators that have packed in here to see the great show that Top Fuel in Australia is providing. Graeme Cowin has really proven that he's got the horsepower this season. Rachelle Splatt likewise with some good 290 mile an hour 4-second passes at the Nationals.
This track has been prepared to perfection. More traction than these racers have ever seen in this country. The conditions are perfect. It's what the Konica Winternationals is known for. This could be Australia's first side-by-side 4-second pass. They look quick. Look at Cowin, he's flying.
488, the quickest pass outside the United States. What a great run from Graeme Cowin. The crew absolutely ecstatic with that one. We've got to look at this on the replay. The quickest pass in Australia. The head of flames is strong. Rachelle, there's nothing wrong with her pass, but Rob, she just can't match the pace.
Graeme, you have just run 488, the quickest time in Australia, and of course into the finals.
Yeah, that's great. If we would have run down the other end, I'd have to drop any cylinders or not, but the whole last half track really good, and I take my hats off to Steve and my crew, because without them, I'd be nothing, and it's just fantastic. The Shell Rocket team into the finals, and they run the quickest pass in history as well. So we'll see what happens in the final with Glenn. Jim.
That's right, it's going to be a Reid versus Cowin final. We haven't seen one of those for a while.
Oh, there you go, the two veterans at it again.
Records are made to be broken, and that's what's happening here at the Konica Winternationals. Record crowd and record performances. The Winternationals is now far more than just a drag race. The local community of Ipswich has adopted this event as its own, and the race now forms the finale of an entire week of motorsport-related activity, supported by the Ipswich City Council, the Ipswich Events Corporation and the retail community. This year, the Winternationals Carnival kicked off with the Ipswich Kart Club's divisional race and the Ipswich Westmorton Auto Club's short-circuit touring cars on the first weekend. They were followed by the Ipswich Kart High's Charity Day, where kids from Canteen, the Make-A-Wish Foundation and similar organisations had a ton of fun racing against various celebrity drivers. The Ipswich Slot Car Raceway saw some of the top drag racers doing battle early on the scaled strip. Wednesday night's Queensland Times Motorsport Awards dinner was a real highlight, drawing all forms of racing together. Drag racing's Victor Bray was named Outstanding Motorsports Person of the Year by guest presenter Dick Johnson, while karting's Adam Moore received the Junior Award. After the official launch by Acting Mayor Denise Handley on the Thursday night, the kids took to the main street of Ipswich for the annual Billy Cart Bash. And then, of course, we were into the highlight, the 30th Konica Winternationals Drag Racing Championships.
Okay, who's your favourite racer?
Rachelle Splatt.
Jim Reid. Without a doubt, the legend Jimmy Reid. Got to be.
Victor Bray is the best.
Oh, Robin Kirby. Definitely, yeah. Terry Saney.
Who's your favourite racer?
Oh, Rachelle Splatt. Go, Rachelle. Yeah.
The low, lean and mean lines of Victor Bray's 57 Castrol Chevrolet, the king of the burnout in the semi-final of Superformance Top Door Slammer.
57 Chevy for Bray up against the 1955 model of Les Winter. This is a good matchup. Bray has really showed the performance running into the mid-sixes. Winter so far, high sixes, low sevens. He's really going to have to pull one out of the hat to get around Bray.
Well, Les Winter celebrating his birthday this weekend and he's come back to drag racing, but he is up against the Australian champion Victor Bray. Second year in a row, the Top Door Slammer Championship is his, and this Castrol Chevy is just about invincible.
Bray gets out, he's loose, he back pedals. Winter's got the edge at the moment. Here comes the mile an hour from the Castrol machine. Not enough. Oh, the crew go wild on the start line. Winter with the winner, 6.95. That'll see him into the final. On the replay, you can see Bray on and off the throttle. He really had some problems early, and Les Winter into the final.
I love it when I see the TV cameras coming. I know I've had a win. It's great. Victor's, he's a target. I think everybody gives it their best shot when he's in the other lane. I'm happy.
Les Winter with the upset of the Winternationals so far. Troy Critchley, can he fly the Castrol flag? He's up against the #1 qualifier, Peter Gratz for Valvoline.
Well, Critchley has the comparable horsepower to that of Peter Gratz. However, he is 150 pounds heavier. Peter Gratz really has found some additional power for this Winternationals and stepped the car up so far with a 655. You can see the big Whipple supercharger hanging out of the bonnet. We have seen some 650 performances from Critchley, but not this weekend.
Critchley, the defending Winternationals championship. He'd love another Superformance trophy on his mantelpiece, but we've already said it. Peter Gratz is a big meeting specialist. Critchley's going to have to pull something out of the bag here. Look at this. Gratz is hanging him out. They're in now. Clean flash of greens, and the power advantage of Gratz is already running away.
Peter Gratz will get there. 6.48. The crew go wild. He's really stepping it up this weekend.
I owe a lot of thanks to Murray Anderson. he was such a nice bloke, and he went home on Friday night like about 3 o'clock in the morning and worked for about 6 hours to fix the diff on the car. Without his help, I mean, like, we just wouldn't have been here. So, I mean, I, as well as Gary Phillips and all my crew and the other guys, I like to Murray because we just wouldn't have been here. So I want to thank those guys more than anybody, otherwise we just wouldn't be here.
Bullshit. I know. We haven't got enough fuel for the final.
You want to buy us some fuel, Victor? Jack Daniels Top Bike Eliminator semi-final time. Gavin Spann, the comeback kid, up against Bruce Barnett. If Spann can put Barnett away, it's going to leave the championship wide open for Jeff Smith. And I've got to say, Spann's been looking pretty strong.
Oh, well, he definitely has, Rob. Really has put the bike into the mid to low 7-second zone. But what a burnout from Barnett, really showing that this one means business. Pretty much, this is a championship on the line here right now.
The Japanese Suzuki up against the American Harley Davidson. Nitrous oxide injection for Gavin Spann. And of course, the Jack Daniels Harley relying on that good old nitromethane fuel.
Top fuel motorcycle. Oh, look at that. Spann throws it on the start line. He's got a great lead on the track, but he's blown it with a red light. Barnett will get there 8:02.
Bruce, they tell me that you're going to be retiring after this season, and obviously you're hoping to go out with a championship under your belt.
Yeah, hoping to, but Jeff's the one that's worrying me at the moment. He can still beat me, I think. So, but yeah, I am retiring after this one. Yeah, it would be nice to go out with the winner.
Gavin Spann red lighted by 1,000th of a second, and that may become the most crucial 1,000th of a second in the championship chase. Jeff Smith now under pressure. He must win this round to keep his title hopes alive.
Well, Jeff Smith was due to run Pommy Pete Allen, but I don't see him down there on the start line. The bike, a relatively new machine. Perhaps they've got some problems. And Rob, it looks to me as though Jeff Smith has got the solo path.
That is going to see the championship go right down to the wire in the final. Pommy Pete Allen riding the Pennzoil Top Fuel Kawasaki. We saw it with a little bit of a lean out in the first round. Jeff Smith will have the solo. He needs to pick up some bonus points. Oh, almost out of control there. 768, 289.
Well, Jeff, you're into the finals, but you've got your work cut out for you. I believe you need low ET and top speed and a win in the final to secure a championship.
Yeah, we got the top speed. And all we need is, I guess, a low ET. I thought that one would have been good, but I got off the throttle a little bit. The bike was getting almost out of control.
Semi-final time of Travel Air Tour's Top Alcohol, and Jeff Burnett, he'll need to get back into that 580 zone if he wants to contend with the horsepower of this man, Gary Phillips, who has just repeated as Australian champion. By virtue of being in this round of racing, he levels on the points with Stan Tyndall. He's gone further in the final event. That gives him the title on the tiebreaker.
Congratulations to Phillips, but he's still got to get through this round of racing to take out the Winternationals championship. He's up against Burner. Burner really has put on an extremely good performance this weekend. 5-8 performances, as Rob said. We haven't seen that throughout eliminations. He really needs to pick up the pace to get round Phillips.
He's got the chance to do that here. Gary Phillips with the Aussie Bananas Harker Transport Dragster, the defending Australian champion. Have a look at this. The Dragster with a smaller engine, the T-Bucket, big 526 cubic inch engine on board for him. He's got more horsepower. The Dragster's more efficient, but something goes wrong for Phillips. Burnett will streak away.
Well, Jeff the Burner Burnett, the only altered in the top alcohol field, and you've just taken out the number 2 qualifier for your spot in the finals.
Yeah, fantastic, Tanya. It was a bit of an effort because we shook the tyres on the first round and we took a guess at the clutch and the tune-up and the thing just hooked up and went.
Steve Reed in the Reed family Oldsmobile funny car, trying to find a spot in the final of Travel Air Tour's Top Alcohol. The man that'll be trying to stop him, though, is Dave Glenwright in that Romac Performance Products Dragster, and Glenwright has been one of the real pace setters this weekend.
Yes, Steve Reed, though, a former Australian champion, has got plenty of performance on board in the Jim and Stephen Reed funny car. However, Glenwright, you can't deny those 5.7 second elapsed times. That's going to be tough to beat.
Glenwright hasn't run the full championship, as we were saying before, but he is really one of the pace setters, and I think he's got his name on this trophy unless Steve Reed can do something on the start line. We know the funny car can match it for speed. They're within 2 or 3 mile an hour of each other at the top end of the racetrack. It'll all come down to who's in front at half track.
The Romac team really have shown their dominance throughout the 97 series. In late 96, they became the first car in the country to run a 5.7 second elapsed time. Jim and Stephen Reed really haven't had a good championship so far. Let's see if they can improve it here at the Winternationals. The reds start to build up. We wait on Stephen Reed to bring the car into stage. One flash, they're gone side by side, but I tell you what, that drags to making some early ground. He'll get there, 5.70, 390 kilometres an hour. Dave Glenwright, that equals the national record.
5.700, the quickest pass in history. No wonder Bob Brackham and Bob Meyer are so happy.
You are hearing jazz in the now.
The Dynamax Girls signals pro stock time. Semi-finals, as a matter of fact. You can see the Polito crew waiting for their race, but the first pairing out, we'll see Tony Wedlock on screen now in this beautiful Ultimate Motorsports Pontiac.
Wedlock has won at least one championship round for about the last 6 years straight. He hasn't scored a win yet this season. This being the final round of the Dynamax Australian Championship is his last chance to do that. Kim Pettiwood in there beside him, and the Lifestyle Speedflow Pontiac is out to stop him. Pettiwood has already stepped up in the solid low 7.9 second zone, so Wedlock's going to have a battle on his hands this time.
Kim Pettiwood, beautifully turned out car, as is Wedlock. We've seen Pettiwood upside down in the braking area here at Willowbank Raceway. Since then, the car's been rebuilt and hasn't gone any quicker than it has this weekend. A great showing from the team. You listen to the reds start to build up. Pettiwood will bring it into stage. They'll go to the rev limiter. Look at this, Rob. Pettiwood really burning him down, making him wait the full 20 seconds.
Yeah, we can hear Wedlock's revs going up and down. It doesn't seem to have hurt him. As now, something goes wrong for Tony Wedlock. Kim Pettiwood streaking away again.
Well, Kim, 794, 168 mile an hour into the finals, and that is the quickest time for this car, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a personal best for us. We've been trying a few things, just chipping away at it, but yeah, I just revved it up and thrashed it. We knew that Tony was going to be a tough customer, and we just tried a few things and it paid off, so we're really happy.
Well, Tony is a tough customer, and I believe you really got him in the whole shot on the lights there.
Yeah, well, I got to say, I mean, between Tony and Hans Van Dyke, when I first got into pro stock, I mean, they dragged me over the coals, but we all understand that that's the sort of thing you got to do. I mean, it's pro stock, and I think it adds to the excitement of the whole thing. And when we went out, Tony said, well, mate, this is it. Let's go for it. Let's get out there and do it. And we said, yep, no problem. And anything goes, and away we go. So the rules are there. We take advantage of it. But I'm really happy with one, and I know Tony understands the way things go. Yeah, that's good.
Yes, the pro stock action really is at its peak here at the Winternationals. Joe Polito up against Rob Critchley. We saw these two face out throughout qualifying. Whenever these two cars came to the start line throughout qualifying, it was Polito, though, with the legs.
Well, Polito's already got 4 7.7 second runs in a row on the board. He's gone straight into stage. Is Critchley going to hang him out? There's a few games being played on the start line in Pro Stock Eliminator. The Dynamax champ comes out behind. Critchley's right with him. This could be the upset. Critchley's there. Late surge by Polito, 7.74.
With 0.02 of a second across the finishing line, this definitely deserves a replay.
Well, Joe, you managed to take that one out by only 0.02 of a second.
Oh, jeez. Well, I suppose a win's a win, doesn't matter how you do it.
You have come from top qualifier and you're right through to the finals now. You've made a great fist of it this season. It's definitely been your year.
Well, we enjoyed it very much. It's good to put a second win in the championship in a row, and hopefully we can continue for next year and make it 3 in a row.
Semi-final time for Serco Pro Bike Eliminator as the championship battle continues. Les Donnan can't put 1 foot wrong. He needs a perfect record at the Konica Winternationals if he wants to retain the Australian Championship.
He's up against Jason Lee in this battle. Les Donnan, beautifully turned out bike, as is Jason Lee. Just look at the paint job on that motorcycle. Pro stock bike, really putting on a spectacular performance here at the Winternationals. Donnan out, Lee with the chase. He's not going to catch the Castrol machine. Les Donnan, picture perfect, straight run. 7:58, the quickest in the country.
Trevor Beryl and the Castrol crew, they're dancing, and they should be.
Les, you're obviously not going to make it easy for Mr. Eels to win his championship. You've just run a 7:58, the quickest ever time in Australia.
Unbelievable. Yeah, it's going to be a tough final. We've got to come up with mile an hour yet, so hopefully we can do that in the end.
Well, Les doesn't realise it, but he's already got the mile an hour, so Gavin Eels really needs to find the performance to match that 7:58 style ET from Les Donnan. He's up against Angelo Ganitas in this round. He's got to get by him yet.
There's no free rides in Pro Stock Motorcycle tonight at the Konica Winternationals. As you're saying, Donnan has already now currently got the bonus points for low elapsed time and high speed of the event. Can Eels come back at him? Eels is pretty quick as well. Have a look at this, 7:67.
Well, Gavin, it's number 1 and number 2 qualify into the finals, but you're going to have to find something for a 7:58 from Donnan in the previous semi.
Yeah, we're going to have to find something. It'll be right. We'll go back to the truck and look at everything, and I'm sure we'll come up with something.
Well, it's going to be a fabulous final and one for the crowds to look forward to.
Yeah, it really will be a good final. I think it's going to be one on the start line. It's going to be a tremendous race.
It's now 4 years since Junior Dragster was introduced into ANDRA Championship drag racing for children aged 8 to 16. Its popularity continues to boom, with 20 drivers contesting the Konica Winternationals. We spoke to one of the local favourites, Jordana Pullen, about Junior Dragster and her ambitions in the sport. Jordana, how long have you been running Junior Dragster?
12 months now.
And tell us, what is just so good about the class?
It's great to be able to run juniors at a young age, and it's a good learning experience before I step up into the big classes.
So is it fun? How fast is this car?
Yeah, it's really fun. My car, the best CT is 1083 at 94 kilometres per hour.
So what happens for you after Junior Dragster?
I'll be moving up to modified into a dragster with a 308 Chevy engine in it.
And just where does Jordana Pullen want to end up in drag racing?
Top Fuel, definitely.
Jordana Pullen made her way through a few rounds of racing, but bowed out in the quarter-final here at the Konica Winternationals. We're heading into the support categories now, and the first up, Performance Wholesale Junior Dragster Final. Scotty Betts from Victoria, trying to make it 4 Winternationals victories in a row, comes up against Sydney's Stephen Bush.
Stephen Bush from Borkham Hills really wants to take out a win here. If Betts gets this, this will be 4 Winternationals in a row for him.
He's got a big chase on his hands though. The handicap went to Stephen Bush. Here comes Scotty Betts, his last ever Junior Dragster race. He turns of age after this one, and it won't be a fairy tale ending. Stephen Bush gets the win and takes out Junior Dragster.
It's head sense, cylinder head, super gas final time. Neville Slater from Mackay.
He's in this Revolution race gear Cortina. He'll be up against one of the local heroes in Super Gas. And of course it's Paul Beecham in the Rampage Ford Roadster. Super Gas, one of the sportsman categories of ANDRA Championship drag racing. Heads up, no handicap on this one. They race flat out to the line, but any pass quicker than a 990 is called a breakout and you lose. These cars are door to door.
And of course it means some great racing, but Beecham gets this one at 996 for the win as we head into modified bike final.
We've seen Top Fuel, we've seen Pro Bike, we've seen the top door slammers, and now it's great to see some of the sportsman categories, and this is all the finals. Modified bike, a great pairing. Eddie Keeper up against Michael Cooper. Cooper on the far side of the track. Gets out with a clean green. Keeper looks pretty quick. He's got to keep his bike within that nominated handicap time though.
Michael Cooper, very quick bike, and he gets there. 877, 244 kilometres an hour. I think we saw a breakout there.
Yeah, Keeper too quick. Into the final of Super Performance Super Street Eliminator. Gavin Hamilton in the Cortina up against Gary Hunt in the Falcon. Once again, handicaps will apply. Not too big though this time. Hunt gets out well in the Falcon, but have a look at the Tirana come on strong.
Good example of a Ford versus Holden battle. The Holden out in front at the moment. Will he hold it for the victory? Certainly does. An 11-1, 178 kilometres per hour. Time for the Super Sedan final, brought to you by Craigar Performance, 2 Sydney cars.
Grant Watt in this amazing Camaro, the car built for pro stock, still in Super Sedan Eliminator at the moment, up against Jason Grimmer, the defending Australian champion. And I tell you what, a win here I think would wrap up another title for him.
Oh, it's a great race side by side. The Sydney cars go head to head. I think it's Grimmer. No, Grant Watt gets the win at 8.95, big speed, 241 kilometres per hour.
Kenlow Race Cars Modified Eliminator final now. Dave Ferricks down from Rockhampton up against Brisbane's Graham Frawley. A pair of Chevy-powered dragsters still with his handicap racing. There it goes. Red light for Ferricks. Graham Frawley will be the Winternationals champion for 1997. They're both going to drive him through though. Frawley, 8.73. You can relive all the highlights of Australia's greatest drag race, the 97 Konica Winternationals, over and over in your own home with this special presentation video from AVE. It includes fantastic additional footage unseen on television and is a must for any collector. To order your copy, just ring the number on the screen now. This really is the most outstanding Australian drag racing video ever released.
Competition bike final time now. The hot contender in this category, Red Lockheed in the final, up against the Sydney side of Colin Linney.
Colin Linney on the 10/10th motorcycle Suzuki, much bigger capacity, but he'll be giving away a handicap start to Rhett Lockheed, just 800 cc's of Kawasaki from Serco. Lockheed really has been the star performer all year in Comp Bike Eliminator.
That is the case, that's for sure. Let's see how quick Lockheed can go in the final. Linney's got the big chase on his hand, but Lockheed can open the bike right up and run it through the back door. He gets there by a mile, 8.35, 249 kilometres an hour. Not bad from 790 cc's.
Well, he's the Winternational champion in Comp Bike. Now into High-Tech Oil's Super Stock Eliminator, and they've come from everywhere. Steve Flynn from Perth, Paul Norman from Mackay in the Friendly Motors Falcon. So once again, it's this Ford versus Holden battle, Super Stock Eliminator. Over 20 cars tried to get into the field. The fastest 16 got to race, and it's ended up with this two.
This is another situation where we see championships on the line. It comes down to this final race to see whether Flynn can take it out for Super Stock.
All the way from Perth in Western Australia, he's making Paul Norman wait a little while on the stage. It blinks, now they're in. Away goes Norman, and a big wheel stand from Flynn. The Commodore is flying. Norman looks to be hanging on to him, but look at Flynn in the end, chases him down. 8.33 for the win.
261 kilometres an hour. The Perth boys go wild on the start line. It's a well-deserved win for them.
Well, they'll be able to take that trophy on the long drive home. Now it's Kansas, Wayne Hughes in this T-bucket up against Wayne Cartledge from Melbourne. The final of High-Tech Oil's Competition Eliminator at the Konica Winternationals.
And the variety of cars that we see from all over the country just shows that how ANDRA Championship drag racing has really blossomed. The Winternationals is such a great show. We've seen people from all over the country competing. The competition final is just a variety of the vehicles that we see.
Big box Chevy for Wayne Hughes up against a smaller engine in the dragster. The handicap will apply again. Once more, we see these guys just trying to play a few games on the start line. Red light for Cartledge, it didn't work for him. Wayne Hughes from Cairns is the Competition Eliminator champion.
Hughes will drive it through the back door though. 794, 232 kilometres an hour for the win.
Now we move into the professional category finals. Superformance top door slammer, Peter Gratz, the #1 qualifier in the Valvoline 57 Chevrolet, up against the birthday boy, Les Winter in the 55.
Yes, Les Winter, a great showing from him. I don't think he really expected to quite make it this far. Did face up against Victor Bray in the semi-finals, and anyone that meets Victor Bray really doesn't think that he'll get past him. However, he did. Bray had some problems. Gratz, well, he's been the #1 qualifier, the strong shower. It's going to be tough for Winter to get around him.
Well, Winter didn't expect to be in the final. He had to go and borrow some fuel off Victor Bray after beating him in the semi, just to have enough in the tank to take on Peter Gratz, and he's not going to lay down here. Final of Super Performance Top Door Slammer, and it's, look at that, Winter's in front, and it looks like Gratz in a bit of trouble. He's loose. The big top end from the 57, Gratz gets it, 6.94.
Great run from Peter Gratz, only got there by about 2 to 3 inches, a very close race. On the replay, see Gratz's car get very loose. He has to pedal it. The thing went into tyre shake, but he had the top end charge to get around Les Winter. Peter Gratz, the Winternationals champ.
Congratulations, Peter, winner of Super Performance Top Door Slammer, and a very messy run by all accounts. Moved around a bit, had to do a bit of pedalling, but you've still got the win.
Yeah, thanks, Tanya. Yeah, I think I was just trying a bit too hard. My visor fogged up in the burnout, and I just couldn't see just couldn't see where I was going, so I quickly pulled that off. And yeah, I just tried to give it too much, and it got a bit loose. And I was just lucky I didn't go over the line. I didn't want to sort of interfere with Les or run into him, so just tried too hard.
Well, I'll let you get your trophy there. Congratulations again.
Thanks, Tanya.
Around 35,000 fans enjoying the finals at the Konica Winternationals, and the winners do get to celebrate. The championship in Pro Stock Motorcycle has come down to this. Gavin Eales, the championship leader, up against Les Donnan, the challenger. He is the defending champion, but he needs to win this race, set lower laps time, and get the bonus points for high speed. It's a bit of a tall ask, but these are the two best in the country, and it's fitting that the championship should come down to the final race of the final round.
Nerves definitely at their peak at the moment. The bike's edge into stage. Listen for the revs to build up. Wait for Eales to bring the bike into stage. Here they go. This is for the championship. Only a thousandth of a second separate them off the start line. Side by side, I can't pick it. Les Donnan gets it and the championship, 7.66.
The replay will show us what you win or lose a championship by thousandths of a second.
Les Donnan, winner of Pro Stock Motorcycle, Serco Pro Stock Motorcycle. Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks. We did it for the Castrol team and the crew. They did a great job. Commiserations to Gavin Eales and the Serco crew. They had it right to the end, and we just snuck it off them. I really feel sorry for them, but we've got to try our best and put on a show, and that's what we've done.
No doubt about that. The Pro Bike's putting on a great show of the winners. Time now for Jack Daniels' Top Fuel Motorcycle Final. Jeff Smith up against Bruce Barnett. This is another case of a championship coming down to the wire.
We saw Les Donnan win a championship by winning the event, getting lower laps time and high speed for those ever valuable bonus points. If Jeff Smith can do the same here in Jack Daniels' Top Bike, he will be the Australian champion. Otherwise, Bruce Barnett will be able to retire. This is his last ride on a Top Fuel motorcycle, and he will retire as champion if Jeff Smith doesn't ride to perfection and get all of those bonus points.
The current low ET is 7.25 seconds by Gavin Spann. Interesting point to note here is that there's two Harley-Davidsons in the final of Top Fuel Motorcycle, and either way, it's going to be a Harley that's going to win the championship. Great stuff.
First time ever for a Harley-Davidson to win the Australian Top Fuel Bike Championship, but who's it going to be? Perth's Bruce Barnett or Jeff Smith? Smith's out in front. Smith will win the race, but can he win the ET? He needs 7.25. Not this time.
Well, Jeff, you didn't get the championship, but tonight's Gold Christmas tree is definitely yours. Winner of the Jack Daniels Top Bike. How does it feel?
Feels real good. It's been a long time coming. Beauty. Can't believe it.
Final time now for Hi-Tech Oil's Pro Stock Eliminator, and Kim Petterwood, the Queenslander, trying to do battle with the all-conquering Joe Polito. Polito has won 3 out of 4 rounds of the Dynamax Australian Pro Stock Championship this year, has already wrapped up the title. Can he make it 5 from 4, or will Petterwood prevail? He's come from a low qualifying position, but he has been getting win by win.
Did a great job against Wedlock in the semis. Let's see how he goes this time. Pretty even off the start line.
Slight move to the right by Polito, but the Ford's got the power. Petterwood's trying to stay with him, but it'll be Polito all the way. 7.71. That's 6 7.70s in a row and a new quickest ever.
Let's take a look at Australia's quickest ever Pro Stock pass on replay again. Polito moves beautifully off the start line. The car has already made half a car length by the 300-foot mark on Petterwood and just charges to the finishing line.
Joe Polito, winner of Hi-Tech Oil's Pro Stock, 7.71, quickest ever pass.
Oh, that's unreal. That's great. We're comparable to the guys overseas. That's great. We're nibbling down to the 69s, just didn't make it. But I tell you what, I've got a great crew, and hey, they need to sort of be congratulated more than what I do. I'm only just sort of driving it. But they sort of maintain the car between rounds, and I mean, to get this car to run so consistent, I mean, they're doing an excellent job.
National records all the way at the Konica Winternationals. Will we see more in Travel Air Tours Top Alcohol Eliminator? Jeff Burnett, the world's quickest methanol-powered T-bucket, up against David Glenwright in the Romac Performance Dragster.
Glenwright really has been the pace setter of the meeting so far. Burnett's put on a great showing as well. However, there's still a 1/10.5 difference between these two cars. It's going to have to be a big start line job from Burnett to get around the speed of the Romac car.
I know that Bob Brackham and Bob Meyer would like to see the dragster run into the 5-6 zone to be the first in the country to do so, but Glenwright, he's the one that's got to hang on to the wheel and try and get there in front of Jeff the Burner Burnett.
Well, when it comes to hanging onto the wheel, I think the Burner's got the tougher job. The Altered's not known for their handling. The Burner's really got this thing to run hard, but none have got it to run harder than David Glenwright in the Romac Dragster. Plenty of inspiration out in front of him. The Romac girls really adding a little bit of glamour to Top Alcohol here this weekend.
The Konica Winternationals has had plenty of action, plenty of glamour and plenty of excitement. Top Alcohol now coming down to the line. Will we see a 560, or can the Burner cause the upset of the event? Look at them, they are really building the revs up over 5,000 RPM. Leave the line hard, and it looks like a dragster all the way.
Glenwright's out in front by a mile. He'll get there. 571, 390 kilometres an hour. That is a top pass from him. No 560, but still extremely quick.
Well, they've been in the 570s most of the weekend and looking strong all the way through this final, justifiably getting the Winternationals trophy.
Dave Glenwright, winner of Travel Air Tours Top Alcohol. Gold Christmas tree is tonight yours. And as well as that, a 571 has backed up and given you the record.
That's great news. I'm sure Bob Brackham and Bob Meyer are pretty happy up there. I'm pretty happy down here, I know that, but that was a bit of an indifferent run, that one, but it shows the car has got potential to run in the high 60s, but at least we've been consistent this weekend, and I'm pretty happy of that, and we haven't hurt a thing. The car's running really well.
The 30th Konica Winternationals has now come down to this. Around 35,000 fans waiting to see who's going to win Hi-Tech Oil's Top Fuel Eliminator final. Will it be Sydney's Graeme Cowin in the Shell Rocket Industries dragster, or Jim Reed, the man that hasn't raced at Willowbank since last year's Winternationals? This is the same pairing we saw 12 months ago. The result then was a Reed win. Well, what's going to happen tonight? Will we see the first side-by-side 4-second pass in Australia? Will we see a new national record? Or are the conditions right for the first 300-mile-an-hour pass?
Both of them have run into the fours here this weekend. 488 from Cowin, 492 from Reed. It's on the cards to be the greatest race in Australian history. Cowin backing up now. The team have put plenty of work into this race. as has the Jim Reid team. They've really been keen to retain the title of the Nationals champ. Can they do it? We're going to find out very shortly.
Graeme Cowin ran 4.88 seconds in the semi-final. He needs another run within 1% of that to back it up for a new national record. Reid wants to win. That's what he wants. Flame out for Reid. Look at Cowin. Looks good, looks good, looks great. 481, that's a record. 456 kilometres an hour. That's the quickest pass ever outside of the United States of America. What a way to finish the Winter Nationals.
As you can imagine, the Shell Rocket team absolutely amazed with the time, as is the 35,000 people here at Willowbank Raceway. A well-deserved win for Graeme Cowin. Let's take a look at it on replay. Reid with some problems. He's got that shake which we've seen throughout the event so far, and Cowin hard all the way down to the finishing line. 4.81 seconds. We hear it rev up hard. It gets to about 800 foot. The revs come up. I think it was running out of fuel.
Well, what a picture-perfect run to about 1,000 foot, and then, as you say, the flames are a bit of a worry, but Cowin's got the trophy.
Well, Graeme, I don't know where one starts. You've taken out the high-tech oils, top fuel eliminator here at the Winter Nationals, and a 481 has stitched up the record for you.
Yeah, mate, I think we got the record at an 88, backed up with an 81, and it's just great. And I can't say thanks enough to the Shell Rocket team for making me look so damn good, and I love them all to death. They're like brothers and sisters to me.
Well, we've got a gold Christmas tree here for you, and it's been definitely well-deserved.
Thanks a lot. This will go on the mantelpiece with the others, and of course if we didn't use the Shell products it wouldn't have helped us get it either.
Feel free to join in.
Congratulations there to Graeme Cowin and the Shell Rocket Top Fuel team, along with all of the winners here at the Konica Winter Nationals. If you'd like to find out more about the Konica Winter Nationals or other Willowbank Raceway events, check out the internet at the website on the screen. We really have witnessed the very best drag racing event ever held outside of the United States of America. The quickest ever passes in top fuel, pro stock, top alcohol and pro stock motorcycle, along with 30 new national records throughout the classes, show just how fast the Willowbank track was. Congratulations to all of the raceway officials on a fantastic event.
The 30th Winter Nationals was made possible with the assistance of Konica.